Hello again, it's Mr. Pete, your YouTube shop teacher at your service, and this time with episode number 55B, the answer portion of my What Is It Mystery Tool Mystery Item series. So let's get on with it. There's 5 items. There were some great answers. Many of you had all of these correct, unless you cheated, or you're mighty smart, because I didn't know what all of them were. And I'm glad you're participating. I enjoy your answers. I do not answer them. But item number 1 is a battery pickup tool. And it is patented. I'll do a close-up on the trademark here and the patent number. But the patent number is a lie. There is no such number. I looked it up. Besides, it's only a 6-digit number, which means it would have to go back almost 150 years. So they made that up. Some people thought this was a brick tongs. It's way too small for that. And I think I did show a brick tongs in one of my older episodes. Remember, there's probably almost 500 items that I've shown in the last 10 years in this series. But a brick tong would open much wider. Some people thought that it was for lifting up salt blocks for cattle, and it would work for that, I think, if it opens wide enough. Now, this is for the older type batteries that had the hard rubber case, because there's cleats here, points that would dig into the hard rubber. I'm sure this would just skid right across the more modern plastic batteries. I say modern, they've probably been around for 50 years already, so this is probably fairly old. There's the price tag on there, so I don't think this has ever been used. I don't see how these would work very well in getting the battery down into a tight compartment, because they're too large here, plus they're metal. They could short a battery out. I think they'd be great at a retailer where they're unloading a whole truckload of batteries. I'll show you a picture of a more modern battery carrier that has rubber feet here that would catch rather than the cleats. This is the kind I always used, which worked quite well. And do not get in the way. You can lower your battery into a very tight spot, and these are super cheap. I like these. Laugh if you will. I don't have a battery to demonstrate this on, but I do have a 5-pound can of carborundum silicone carbide grains, and this is how it lifts. It is not an ice tongs. I've shown ice tongs in videos also. Nothing like an ice tongs. This is a more modern battery carrier with rubber feet on it. Item 2 is a knocking pliers that would be used by archers or men who work on bows. And it just closes up the little knock around the bowstring. I'll show you a couple pictures of what a knock looks like in case you do not know. This is kind of a cheap tool. I think you can buy these for $4 or $5, made in Korea. And the knocking pliers can be used to mount these knocks, I guess they call them, on a bowstring. Here's item 3, a Wizard all-plug non-sparking. It's probably beryllium copper, made in Milwaukee. And there's the number 121, quite expensive when new. It will fit virtually any fitting on an oil barrel, gasoline barrel, to remove the bungs from the bung hole. It's a heavy tool. I don't think it's ever been used. 18 inches long. You know, I've had about 3 or 4 of these of different manufacturers. Most people had this right. It's not for a hydrant, because this is non-sparking. That's what makes it so expensive. Beryllium copper is a very expensive metal. The next item, item number 4, is a Vernier Y34A high press hydraulic crimper. I'll show you the patent on that as well. And it is used to put heavy terminals on the end of wires. I mean, probably a lot heavier than even welders or batteries. And the leather here was used to hold extra dies, so it is hydraulic. The patent goes way back. That company is still in business and makes a similar tool, a little bit more modern looking than this. This is all insulated, I suppose, although you wouldn't work on live lines, but looks like something like a grease gun, doesn't it? Very expensive. And there's the patent number. Hopefully you can read the trade name right off of the tool itself. I hope some of you like it when I show you the patents, and you can look these patents up on Google Patent. Now, concerning the Starett Vernier caliper, I was shocked, absolutely shocked at how many of you knew what these little divots were for. And of course they're used to set your caliper very accurately, or your trammel points. And the funny thing is, you're using a super precision instrument to adjust or set a semi-precision instrument. So it seems a bit contradictory, but nevertheless, I had one of these at the high school years ago that I used to use and enjoy. The calipers turn around backwards, but of course you'd make the setting on the front side, let's say 1 1/2 inches or whatever it may be, and then you could adjust your dividers into the little divots very accurately. Same thing with a trammel point, and let me show you in the Starett book here a picture of how to use it. And here is the picture in the Starett book. Let me close in on the picture. And here is Mr. Starett setting his trammel points. I was shocked by how many people knew who this was or is. It's the great Professor Irwin Corey, a comic that appeared on talk shows quite regularly, and he billed himself as the world's greatest or biggest expert because he could expound on virtually any subject with his crazy double talk. And several of you put in the comments some of his craziness. He lived to be quite old, like 100 years old or so. And some people thought that it was Red Skelton, and there's a big resemblance in this particular picture to Red Skelton. And some of you are saying, who's Red Skelton? Now don't go away, and there are a bunch of still pictures at the end, so be sure and check them out. Now this is an update here on the doohickey, and when I had this in a recent series, 3 or 4 ago, we never did get the proper answer for this, and Jerry Wilson found the original instructions for this, which I'm going to show you here in a second, and it is sometimes called the rammer hammer, as well as doohickey. It had to have been a total failure in the marketplace. They probably only sold 3 of them, and this is one of them. Let me show you the instructions, and then I will demonstrate the ridiculous patent pending item. Well, there's the instructions and for using the rammer hammer. And you install a brad or a small nail into the end, which I will be doing here presently, and that will allow you to get it started or to drive it in to a piece of wood such as a picture frame or some molding or something like that. And this was made before zip codes, as you can see here, which means it's from the 50s probably, and the company was Doohickey Incorporated, and it was available with different nozzles for different size brads or nails. Let me show you how it works, or you don't want to know probably. Alright, here's some 1-inch brads, whatever will fit in the little nozzle, like that, and there is a magnet in there so it won't come out, and you would simply drive it like a spear, or strike the T-handle, which I will do. That gets it started, and then of course you got your little hammer here. I'm looking through I'm looking through these, so forgive me for missing. Totally ridiculous. Now, originally some people were saying that it was a safety Allen wrench, because there is a little bit of a hex, like a hex key there. You couldn't leave it in whatever you was that you were adjusting. You know, I feel sorry for Mr. Hickey, because you know darn well he thought he was going to get rich with this thing. He should have had it marketed by, who was the crazy guy with the Vegematic? You know, he could have sold 1 million of them, I suppose. Well, that concludes this issue of What Is It? Be sure and stay tuned for a few still pictures, assorted, some personal items. Thank you very much for watching and supporting my channel. This is Mr. Pete Tubalcain saying so long for now, and I'll see you next time. I have a sad announcement to make, and today is January 7th, but Bernie McCollum, who is the owner and operator of Hobby Metal Kits, and I've talked about him many times, he's a great guy, and he was at my meet and greet. Perhaps you met him, but on Christmas Day 2019 they experienced a terrible fire that devastated the business. But I just received an email from him, and he said they are working hard to get back and up and running to meet all of our steel needs for our project. So it wouldn't hurt for some of you who know Bernie to send him an email of support. I know I'm going to. God bless you, Bernie. And this is Bernie's email address and website.